So I want to go back to like Dollar Shave Club. You know, you mentioned earlier that you thought it was one of the tougher acquisitions for Unilever. Why do you think it didn't work out well?
Well, I think one was, you know, I think that companies like Unilever or P&G, they're obviously not brand builders. They're brand distributors and they're brand marketers. And I think Dollar Shave Club was liked because it innovated in a category that hadn't innovated in a long time. They were far more affordable on the front end to the customer, but that could have also just been subsidized by venture dollars. And, you know, I think once they got acquired, they didn't really innovate. Like they kind of stayed at the same place. And then you had all these other companies come along. I mean, there was probably like 6 or 7 shaving kit box subscription companies that went on Shark Tank right after. And then of course you have Harry's and you have Billy and all these other companies that came to market. And I think they probably just didn't have the same vision that Dollar Shave had in its early days. Like, you know, I don't think they ever released that type of ad that they launched with. And they sort of just like tried to plaster retail aisles and take market share or gain revenue that way. But I don't think they necessarily like innovated after the acquisition.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of truth to that. So let me start by saying I disagree that they're not brand builders. I think P&G and Unilever are both brand builders, and I say that because I think P&G built Native far more than like, you know, I might have started it, but I think P&G has done a far better job than I could have, and have really knocked it out of the park. And like, you know, generally there are like Unilever is more of a house of acquisitions. They bought a lot of businesses, Liquid IV, Sir Kensington's, Schmidt's, you know, Ben and Jerry's. I do think that they do buy a lot of brands, but I think that like, you know, taking a brand from something like a kernel and building it into a forest is a form of brand building that's really difficult. Mm-hmm. And so I think that they are brand builders. I think that there were a couple other mistakes with Dollar Shave. One was they didn't go into retail distribution fast enough. And the reason for that was like when Dollar Shave, like when we sold to P&G, when Native sold to P&G, there's like 3 forms of acquisition that you can do. You know, there's a brand called This Is L. I think that's what it's called. They make like tampons or feminine products. Yeah. When P&G bought them, they absorbed the entire business into Cincinnati. It was run out of Cincinnati. Everyone who worked at This Is L was, you know, let go in a way that was like very, like not in a mean way, but they were like, you know, we're going to bring your job into Cincinnati. Maybe you can, if you want to move to Cincinnati, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine. We'll give you a severance package that works well for you. It was a complete absorption of the business. With Native, it was, you're in San Francisco, but we're definitely going to have P&G people, you know, looking over Moiz' shoulders often. And that they did. I had a shadow, and it wasn't from the sun. Yeah. And Dollar Shave Club was not either of those two. It was actually completely independent. They piped in the finances so Unilever could report financial data from Dollar Shave Club, but distribution still came out of LA. Marketing still came out of LA. Product innovation still came out of LA. It was entirely independent. And as a result, I don't think it took advantage of Unilever's system of distribution and marketing the same way that Native got to. Like Native got to in a great way. Like when we went to Target, they were like, okay, you're a part of P&G. We understand P&G. We know what the terms of this, when we sold into Target, they weren't like,
there's no negotiating.
Yeah. They're like, we understand how P&G works. And like, you understand, you also know the numbers of all of the other deodorant brands at Target. Like, you know, when we were selling Native into Target, I was like, how much margin do you make at Secret? How much margin do you make at, you know, at Old Spice and Gillette? I want to know that information because that's going to be super important for Native to know. And so it was a lot less like blind. Like we weren't blind. We walked in with like a lot of information that we might not have otherwise had because of the partial integration with P&G. And I think Dollar Shave Club remained independent for a really long time and didn't take advantage of the Unilever distribution system, which I thought was like not the best idea. And they didn't touch brick and mortar stores for a really long time. And I think that like part of it was they never were able to come up with another product that worked well. Like they were sort of defined by Dollar Shave and they were like, we want cheap razors. And nobody was like, if you sell deodorant, it better be a very cheap deodorant because that's what I want, you know, like, my customers are all very price sensitive. Mm-hmm. And so I thought the best, like, you know, with Native, I consciously thought about this. I was like, you know what we're doing? You know what we don't want to do is compete on price. we don't want to compete with, saying we're cheaper than Old Spice and Secret because we're $12 and we're still not making that much money.
Yeah.
And so I was like, we don't want to compete on price. We need to compete on quality and value and ingredients and branding and integrity. And so I think that was also what was really tough with Dollar Shave Club. They were sort of set themselves up from a marketing position of we're cheaper than everybody. You don't need Roger Federer.
Yeah.
And I thought that was tough.
Agreed.
Anyway, so Dollar Shave Club is now sold, and I'm thinking about how the early guys in direct to consumer have all moved on. Dollar Shave Club's moved on, Casper's moved on. I don't know if I was early, I moved on. Andy from Bonobos has moved on. I just feel so feels like all of those people have started new things, and that the Blue Aprons, is gone, and so it just feels different.